I think today is important because we're just coming up a month away or so from the 110th anniversary of this building being opened by William Massey, who was the then Prime Minister in 1912. The building itself has been an iconic landmark of Auckland for a number of years. The building was built on reclaimed land which was originally Commercial Bay and now sits right opposite, obviously, the new Commercial Bay shopping centre. The building itself is actually constructed of a number of different elements of product in and from New Zealand. One of them being Oamaru stone, which is from the South Island, which is a sandstone. The grey lower levels on the Queen Street side are in fact granite from Coromandel or Tololite. And then we have brickwork around the outside of the buildings on Tyler, Commerce and Galway streets, which is all now plastered with full coats of plasterwork and finishing coats. The roof itself is a little bit iconic as well, in as much that it's been relaid with a new grade asphalt that has a life expectancy of between 25 and 50 years and is basically torched onto the roof structure. So in doing so, we actually had to take an urn all the way up to the roof and flame 100 kilogram blocks of tar on the roof and then spread it. So it's quite iconic in terms of the way it's been constructed. We've engaged with very specialist contractors headed by Legacy Construction that have a clearer understanding of the old methodologies of how to construct. The work that was done to the Oamaru stone is quite extensive. As late as 1964, pieces of the building were actually falling off because the stonework itself had deteriorated so badly. A lot of people will recognise when they look at this building now new blocks of Oamaru stone that have actually been inserted to the old structure to ensure the structural and external integrity of the building. It was opened in 1912 primarily for the New Zealand Post Office, and that lasted a long time right through to the early 90s as the central hub of all posts coming into New Zealand. And in the 60s, the building basically was pushing through about 500,000 letters and parcels a day in an era when nothing was actually technologically available, so it was all done by hand. There were certain periods during the development of the building where the railway station was out the back in the 1930s. There were issues around that, and the railway station was actually moved to Beach Road, and then the post office took over more responsibility for the building. The building itself at one point was actually the home for the Auckland Bridge Club, which is quite surprising. And as late as the 1990s, there were considerations for the building to actually become a casino. And then in 1993, the Auckland Council decided to purchase the building for $15.5 million in those days and convert it to what it is today, which is the transport hub of Auckland.
So when I think back over the last 6 years, some of the things I'm proud of is how we've regenerated, restored, refurbished and created a new places where people can live down, they can appreciate being in the centre, in the heart of our city, New Zealand's international and gateway city. And these are things that are a proud legacy for our council and for all of those that have worked on it. Can I thank Council, can I thank Auckland Transport, Legacy Construction and all of those that have worked so hard to put this together. And when I come back here periodically, I won't be coming in every day after the next couple of weeks, but this will be one of the buildings that I will look up to, and I'll linger outside the Commercial Bay property and on the square here and look up at this building and say, this is a city to be proud of, it's a great city to live in. So thank you very much for being here today.